Was that your jaw click? That's what it sounded like. I thought you was going to deep through the microphone.
Oh, fuck, you are vile.
Yeah.
Oh,
Filthy. Disgusting. Horrible.
it's wonderful in some states.
In some states. Queensland,
Yeah.
other ones. Go on.
How you doing, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm good. I'm fucking very good. Very good. How about you?
Oh, I'm fucking good. Do you know why?
Why?
Positivity.
Positivity.
That was a
Positivity.
titillating point.
Positivity.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So what have we got for the
What did
agenda?
the policeman say to a boob? Don't know, I was going to say something like you're under a breast, but it doesn't quite work. On the note of positivity.
I actually do think that works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Came up with that one on the spot.
Go on.
I thought, for a change, a lot of people focus on like what's wrong
Mm-hmm.
and often miss the lesson that actually address what's wrong, focus on what's right.
Yes.
And I would love to spend an episode talking about some really happy moments, happy childhood memories, or something that you maybe thought was a negative, but managed to find a good, healthy lens or perspective on the situation.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was always a really fucking happy kid, bro. Like I went through some shit, but I talk about my childhood a lot, but there was a lot of right. And it's really important we find a way to focus on like the good things. And I definitely found something that saved my ass as a kid and is why I'm sat here today. And that is breakdancing.
Yeah.
And I remember the moment I found it, and it was my first way of sort of fitting in anywhere because I found a hobby. And you can apply this thing to like most walks of life when it comes to meeting people or finding a bit of purpose. And it could be just finding a hobby. When I found breakdancing, it was sick. And so all my friends the week before, and I just started school. So we moved around a lot. So I moved to Littlehampton, which is a little coastal town in England. And there was a youth centre called the Flintstone Centre. Big up Stuart Kingsley. He was the youth worker. He played a big part in shaping my life, I guess. And all my friends were like saying that this breakdancing class was on. And I don't think I was brave enough, or I don't think I cared enough until they came back into class the day after it.
Yeah.
And they were all doing some, I mean, when we look back now, it's probably pretty terrible. But I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
They're moving their body to rhythms and stuff.
Yeah.
And that looks fun.
Hold on, wait. Before any of this, so before this class had ever come to mind, even before they even asked you, was there anything like this in your life? Anything like dancing, anything like breakdancing that kind of, was there anything like that?
Yeah, there's one memory I have. So my older sister, Kerry, would dance.
Yeah.
And she went to tap ballet and some other things.
Yeah.
And I was always like, yeah, hell no. But I do remember when I was super young. Do you know the song Take On Me by A1?
Take on me.
Yeah, or Ha. Is it by them?
I don't know, but I know the song.
Take on me. Take on me.
Yeah, I always knew the song from Real Big Fish because they did a remake of it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I remember coming down. I think I made up a choreography because my sister was always dancing. I'm pretty sure in front of my dad, and it was a thing that they were proud of. So I was like, I want in on this. I want some validation. Be proud of me. So I made up a dance choreography, and I'm pretty sure it actually goes like this: Take on me, take on me, take me on. And that is genuinely what I did.
The choreography of the 90s.
Yeah, it was. That's what I did anyway.
Amazing.
I think that was the first time I had ever danced anyway. And it was a good moment. I knew it was good. So I think I must have had that embedded that was a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And then my friends came into school and they were doing it. And then basically that next week, I can't remember what day of the week. I think it was on like Thursdays.
Yeah.
And they came back into school on the Friday. And then I spent the rest of like the 5 days being like, I must do this.
Yeah.
I must do this thing. And I might have my chronology wrong, but I don't think I'd started the free running just yet. Oh, could I already do a flip? No, I couldn't.
Right.
No. This is what started me on that journey.
Yeah.
I remember the order. Yeah. So I started that, and it was a good year before I started any kind of free running. So I was just doing these classes, and it was my escape. I found an escape. And it was a really positive shaping moment because I found fun in fitness, right? And we talk about that as adults all the time.
Yeah.
And people can really get the idea of fitness like wrong. And now, if I could give you one takeaway to anyone, it's like find that thing that you just happen to be moving and you don't know you're doing exercise. But that kept me fit, healthy, had fun, and allowed me to socialize. And I think people miss the point sometimes that the gym or tennis or golf or whatever, it can all point you in the direction of socializing, health, and like it's good for the mental side of things too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, so that I remember that being a really fond memory. And then like how the next couple years played out after that started to shape who I am as a man today, because we had funding for 1 year. And then at the end of the year, I remember being really sad. But I had already been a solutions kid. So I would have been 12 years old when I started that. 13, it got discontinued. And I was like, no. No. So I spoke to Stuart, and he was like, well, we've run out of funding, but there's a form you can file and send this to the council, and you can become the person that applies for the thing. And he helped me do it, and me and him together got funding, then got the teacher to come back for like 1 more year.
Sick.
So we did that, and then it was something you could only apply for X amount of time with.
Yeah.
So I solved that problem. We had the classes for another year, and then it happened one more time. And by that point, I was still like, no, this will not end.
Yeah.
But I'd learned enough by that point, and I was like dogged with this thing. And I remember back when the internet was still kind of not that accessible, I found a breakdancing forum online, and I was like, oh, all these moves. And me and my friends started looking at these moves, and I got obsessed with all the hard ones because they were flashy and cool.
Yeah.
And it was like, if you could do that, you could see, it's the equivalent of like looking at your physique. When I look at your physique, I go 10 years of training.
Yeah.
That was the equivalent. So I learned all of those moves, and then I ended up teaching. And by 14, I was a breakdancing teacher, and then I kept training.
Yeah.
But I kind of learned. That was when I first learned to learn.
Yeah.
Alongside that was the guitar and all the other things. Doing at the same time, skateboarding, free running then came involved. And I got picked up by a company called Razzmatazz. And Ellen Jameson was a woman that believed in me so hard. She is honestly, she was one of 2 people that were like, whatever it is you want to do, you can do it, but you just got to keep doing it. And Ellen paid me to teach, and also took me to perform in events. I would open up the shows. I would go to schools to show off. I would do the carnivals that we used to have, like little processions and things like that. And that really kind of shaped like, okay, you really can actually do whatever it is you want to do. You just got to find a way.
Yeah.
I think that's a really positive moment from my childhood, where even though I had whatever else was going on that we've spoken about before, like I felt empowered from a very young age with that. And I just would always have my happy place.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to think. Like, there's a process, and I probably could have done it better. Like I said to you when I was talking about learning guitar, I might not have learned things the right way, but I learned a way. So there was a lot of like other things. I got injuries and stuff like that. But for the most part, you don't have to think about it. You just go in, you do the reps, and you come out and you come away with a skill.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really positive moment from my childhood. And me and my friends, we used to go to James's garage, and we'd just put on a speaker, and that garage had a piece of carpet in. This is tangenting. That garage had a piece of carpet in. Yeah. And you know what windmills are?
Oh, yeah.
For everyone else, it's not swinging your dick around. In breakdancing, it's a foundational move which started. So the back spin is the foundation, spinning on your back. And then the person who invented the backspin went, oh, I want to create a continuous backspin, because the backspin relies on the moment of inertia, then holding a shape until the momentum goes. Yeah. So this guy wanted to create a way to stay on his back for longer, and then the windmill was born. So you added in the rotation around the side to keep generating more and more speed. I was doing those, and I was doing it topless, and I cut my shoulder. I've still got the scar, and that was what gave me that disease, the septicemia. Yeah, just a small cut, a graze that got infected with a bacteria that then started eating away my soft tissue and developed into septic arthritis, septicemia.
From a dirty garage.
From a dirty garage.
From a dirty garage.
Clean your minge, women. No dirty garages up at my house. Femme fresh.
I remember. I remember when we were walking around the lake and the sunny coast, and you were talking about all the tricks you went straight for, right up the hard ones. And you're like, the fundamentals, skip them. Want to go straight to the end.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, well, so like I said, the move derives from a backspin.
yeah.
I still can't do a backspin. But I can do no-handed windmills.
Yeah.
And like no-handed windmill, there's like stages, right? You do backspin, then you do windmill, and you use a freeze called a baby freeze, which is like an arm balance on your elbow to get momentum. Then once you've got that, you go to no-handed, which is like this. And then once you've got that, you can move your arms down here, and then you can just start to use brute force to just like skip. And it's a little bit harder. But I remember, dude, I used to get black and blue because I refused. Basically, if I had done what I now know to be a couple strength exercises, I would have had enough power to do the no-handed windmills properly and skipped a whole stage. But I just kept, I would just take my hands away and just try and force it over. And then every time, obviously, if you don't get high enough and you're doing this shoulder and this hip is just going to smash into concrete.
Yeah.
And I just would do it rep after rep after rep. And from the amount of windmills I was practicing, I also had a bruised hip. I do have a scar here too, where the skin's discolored from the amount of, we call it stabbing. So when you want to transition from a windmill to another power move, you stab and push.
Yeah.
So that motion there had created like this bruise here. And I was like, well, I can't do it with my hands anymore. So I have to do no-handed. And then I ended up bruising this and this, and I just was constantly broken. And then I would go, okay, well, I can't use that anymore. What's the next one? And it was a flare. So I started using that. And the same process again, then my ankles were getting smashed on the floor because you're trying to now do a windmill, but with no body other than your hands touching the floor, and so on and so forth.
This also shows why it's good to actually do the fundamentals first and then work your way up.
Yeah. But the point still stands.
The point does still stand,
Put in the work.
And you'll get there.
And you will get there eventually.
Yeah, 100%.
And like, it's never going to be perfect.
Oh, no.
I'm teaching someone at the moment and they are over-analyzing everything.
He does, yes.
And I will give you a few things to focus on. And like I did with you in handstands, I was like, do 10 how I've told you to, then ask me a question.
Yeah.
Because all you are missing now is repetition and muscle memory.
Yeah, and my wrist is starting to cop the beating for it. Yep. But getting there, getting much better. I like that.
Yeah, so that was a nice, happy memory. Yeah, like, do you have something that stands out for you that's kind of shaped something?
My mum was always rugby. Dude, rugby was a massive thing in my family. So we used to live in Goulburn, down in New South Wales, and watching my dad. So rugby's been big in my family for years. Dad played it, grandfather played it, uncles played it, everyone played rugby. And Dad actually started the junior rugby in Goulburn, the Fizzy Reds, because there was nothing for us as rugby league.
Fizzy Reds.
It was called the Fizzy Reds because the Goulburn rugby team is called the Dirty Reds, and we were called the Fizzy Reds. But it was only rugby league, and Mum and Dad didn't like the rugby leagues. It was like too brutal. It was everyone was just to beat the shit out of each other. Yeah. And even though I ended up playing rugby league once I got older, so I got my injuries. Anyway, but with rugby, so Dad brought the rugby union in, and that was amazing because I fucking just born and bred to play rugby. But we used to go and watch the Brumbies. So ACT Canberra, like each state has their rugby team. So like Queensland's the Reds, New South Wales is the Waratahs, the Rebels are down in Victoria. We've got the Western Force over in Perth, and ACT have the Brumbies. And Brumbies were always my favourite rugby team. And man, going to the rugby with Dad, it was me, Dad, and Trent, and he'd fucking always put this the same tunes on the way down there. We sit there, but we barely missed a home game. But it was just being able to play rugby and know that I was actually really good at it was everything. Like I played, where was it? It was representative. So there was the local rugby tournament. Then once I went to under 13s. We turned it to this Highland. I think we became the Highlanders. So the rugby team kind of just brought in other towns from around Goulburn and created like the Southern Tablelands, whatever it was. But being able to play that with some really, really good rugby players was incredible. Had the opportunity to play trial for New South Wales country when I was younger and made the team but couldn't play.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just that, like having that opportunity to do that. Then joining the army and playing rugby. Again, army, made the team, couldn't play because I chose a lot of touch football over it. But it was rugby was my escape. I used to love it just because I was good at it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing. It's obviously now I understand why I have the hyperfixation on something that I'm good at. But it was that. It was just knowing that I could get excited to go to rugby training in the week. You'd see me in the what's the name? I'd be on the footy pitch with a ball. Everywhere I went, I had a rugby ball with me. I'd be practicing kicking. I'd be throwing lineouts. I'd be passing. I'd be doing everything I could because it was everything. Like even for a lineout. So I don't know if you know what a lineout is.
I think I do.
So it's like where they standing on the side of the side, you throw the ball out. Yeah. So that.
Yeah, I played rugby as well.
Yeah, you did. Okay. So I started off when I was younger. I played hooker. And fitting for
Good money?
No, fortunately not. Especially not at that age.
Yeah. Oh God.
I know.
Yeah, there's not a lot of money in the church.
Nope. Doing everything for free. No, so we played for the school. We played in the school tournament, and the school tournament first year I played, we didn't make it past like the first round. And I remember I was throwing lineouts from the ball between my legs. Yeah, because I didn't know how to throw the lineout, and the opposite team, that kid. They were fucking going to the finals and semi-finals. He was throwing a lineup properly, and I was like, "Well, fuck this." So I went home, and you should have seen me every single day after school on the weekend. I'd set the trampoline up so I was on its side a long ways. I'd draw a target on the top there. I'd mark out a 5, 10, and a 15, and I'd just be throwing that ball fucking for days at the thing. I was like, now I can do it. I can throw the ball at fucking 30, 40 meters, just launch it. And the year that I came, we played them again the following year, and I remember beating them, and we made it all the way to the quarterfinal. Yeah, but I think it was like the quarterfinals of the actual thing. On the year that I managed to fucking throw a line out.
There you go.
And that was it. Like, obviously it's a whole team thing, but just for my own self, going from the year where I couldn't do something to the year that I could, was it. And it was just, I kept at it every single day.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like you with yours, it was throwing a line out was the one thing that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Then I got a bit older and realized I had a neck and didn't want to be putting myself in a scrum where you see the amount of people that have neck injuries from scrums. I was like, no. Nah.
Yeah.
I then got put onto outside open side breakaway, which is the guy on the side of the scrum, because he was the same. Number 7 was my favorite player, George Smith. He had dreadlocks. I remember as a kid, we were down at Sussex Inlet, which is south coast of New South Wales. And I wanted dreadlocks that bad that mum, dad, and our family friends said, yeah, all you have to do is just fucking fill it with seawater and just let the salt kind of matter up over time and it will happen. I used to get a bucket of water and sit downstairs while they were upstairs drinking, laughing at me, dipping my head in the water and trying to make dreadlocks. Yeah, that's how bad I wanted the dreadlocks. Because I wanted to be everything like this guy. Oh, yeah. But the good thing was, like, with how good I was at rugby, how much I loved playing it, I modeled myself off him.
Yeah.
So I ended up again playing open side breakaway and playing a lot of representative rugby, playing in I think it was the black division, it was under 13s, I think it was blacks, which were the A grade sort of thing, and playing for West Canberra with all that sort of stuff. I got the nickname, that's right, it was there. Then I went back to Tablelands and played with them. And I had the nickname Weasel because I was that kid that would just get in the middle of a ruck or whatever it is, come out with a ball wherever it was. And it was that. Like I loved it. I absolutely loved it because I was good. I was good. And I missed playing because when I joined the army, I played rugby union up here.
Yeah.
And then one of the boys convinced me to play rugby league, jumped across to rugby league. Man, just smashed it.
Yeah.
Like, we absolutely killed it with rugby league. And then, because I was playing in the under 21s, I think it was. And the next step was first grade. And the team I was playing for, brilliant. But the second and the first grade coach was like, "Oi, we need you. We're down a couple players. Do you want to come play for us?" So I went from my game to the second game and played the first grade game. I ran on. I got on for about 10 minutes. I hadn't eaten. I was feeling like shit. But I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm playing first grade. It was my first opportunity. And dislocated my shoulder. Had 9 weeks off to recover, went straight back in. My old housemate, we had an argument the night before, and she goes, "Fuck, I hope you break your leg tomorrow." Got straight on the field playing against Aspley, and I had this, it was about 120 kilos, Tongan lad, fucking just kind of fell on my knee sideways and went bang. And I was like, that was the last game of actual contact rugby I played.
You did this.
Oh, dude, we got in a fucking the biggest argument. Like, went home that night and I was just like, your fault. And she was like, you know, when women just go quiet, you argue, and they'll just be like, okay. There was that. Next, you know, we had the argument in the bedroom. She went, okay, walked out, and I was like, shit. So I then hobbled, followed her out there. As soon as I came around the corner, fucking plate just went poof against the fucking wall. She threw a plate at me. And I was like, you need to get the fuck out of this house right now. Fucking leave. Well, dude, the housemate that it was actually me and another guy in the army. I was down in Canberra fucking seeing my family at this point. He goes, oh, by the way, I met this girl and her sister at the pub. Fucking, they're going to come and stay with us.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. They were hot. So I was like, sweet. I was actually sharing the bed with the sister because he was sleeping with the other sister. And he actually went on tour and deployment for 6 months overseas. So I was then left with these two girls, weren't paying rent at all.
Yeah.
Fucking nothing.
I remember you telling me the story. Yeah,
it was that. And there was obviously a lot more that went on with that. But I was like, as soon as it happened, I was like, bro, I'm telling him to get the fuck out of the house. This has just happened. Next, you know, I see on his Facebook, the boys are taking the piss out of it, someone throwing a plate at him. Yeah. And I was just like, it was that. It was wild. Anyway, there was a tangent, but yeah.
No, it's a good tangent because it's a good memory. That's why I wanted to focus on it. So, I think the main really, really lovely lesson that I did pick up, and actually one that maybe if I knew about it sooner, I could have done better in other areas. But until you're an adult, or until time passes and you actually reflect on what works and what doesn't, you don't have the answers. And
it's hindsight, isn't it?
Yeah. And like when I look at how I was in school, on the note of environment dictates how I perform, is like, I can tell you exactly why I succeeded in everything I did and why I, in my eyes, failed in other areas. And like my secondary school maths teacher gave me a horrible experience. And so did a few of them. Like I had a bad school experience apart from with my dance teacher and with PE because they reinforced positive. They used positive reinforcement as opposed to negative. Yeah. And once you've had a taste of winning and success and you start to feel good about yourself, there is a lot to be learned in failure. But if you are constantly feeling like a failure, it's hard for you to ever perform.
Well, happiness breeds success.
It actually does. Yeah. And like when I was doing anything like breakdancing, cheerleading, anything I performed really well in, it was due to the environment, the kind of people I had around me and the positive reinforcement that ensued. Because it's like, it's just that if you're just encouraged, you feel good about yourself, you work hard, I'm going to work harder at that thing. It's like when employers are...
Oh, yeah.
being dicks, you're not going to get like my dad's a brilliant boss because my dad works on the positives and making a really great environment for his employees and make sure they're all looked after and then in return they look after him. You know,
that's what we're taught in the army. It's about, in short of it, you work for the boys that work for you. So you used to get your section leader. So we were all privates, you'd have your corporal. If he was a dick, you fucking hated him. If your sergeant was a dick, you hated him. You kind of fucked around. But if they looked after you and put you first and kind of treated you as a mate, you want us to do the thing. And that's workplace everywhere.
Yeah, totally. And I did have a really good thing I wanted to speak about, but it's completely slipped my mind.
Was that my bad?
But maybe I can use the film we watched yesterday.
I was going to suggest it earlier because you said nope a few times, and I was like,
I was going to use the other one.
Okay, go on.
Because we spoke about paranormal last week. Episode.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, when you believe in something yourself, and if you believe it hard enough, you can make it happen.
Yes.
And no one is going to back off until it works.
Yes.
You know, the whole thing of it's like, there's a really good photo I always remember, and it's like an auditorium, one person in the middle, and this is this above it says support.
Yeah, I saw that today.
Yeah, and on the other one, this is like
praise.
Congratulations, praise.
Yeah.
And it's just exactly that.
Yeah.
And in the film, right, we watch Mortal Engines, yeah, and this is so not what it's supposed to be about, but this is a takeaway I can give you a perspective, is that this woman is super, super sad. She's had a really rough life, and basically doesn't really believe that she'll ever find like happiness. So she makes a promise to this dude, and it's like, I want you to take away my humanity, my feelings, my memories, so I never have to do that, and I'll become like you, which is the undead man, right? The resurrected man, Shrike.
Yeah, Shrike, yeah.
And it's not until right at the end, because he also believes there's no happiness, no love in the world, none of this. This is what drives him.
Well, not anymore, anyway.
Yeah. So she falls in love, and it's visible to him, and then it's right in that moment that he stops trying to murder her, and goes, "Oh wow, she did it."
Yeah.
And that's like a real staple to life. It's like, if you have a crazy idea, fucking go with it and go like 100%. Because I can tell you now, everything in my life that I do today, I believed I was going to do from a young age in some form. And everything other people want,
Porn.
Yeah, I mean, fucking, I told you the story about me strumming my dick to my au pair, my live-in nanny, fucking strumming away at 10 years old. No, younger, 8 maybe. I always knew I was destined to be something that wasn't
normal.
It begins with an A. Can't remember the word. God damn it. Academic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the life for me.
Yeah.
But like I said, the cheerleading, the breakdancing, the gym, I don't know, everything else, skateboarding, guitar, anything that I put my mind to and believed I could do, I was good at.
Anything physical.
Yeah.
You're like me, anything physical.
But it's actually, it is actually a little bit of a cop-out to say it's just physical, because there's a huge mental side of it. Like bodybuilding, it's all mental. Guitar is all mental, but it's just you have a physical thing to do with your body. Your body.
That's what I mean. Is you're physically doing something, even though it's a fucking massive mind game.
Yeah.
Is you're physically doing something. When you're just, don't get me wrong, studying and being in the books, you're physically doing something.
Yeah.
But it's not overly stimulating. At least this is
it's like I'm still super intelligent, because I could look at a dance choreography and repeat it back to you.
Yeah, but if you sit down to a book and then do that, go straight to a test.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, it's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's just the way we view it, I suppose. So it's like, find the environment that works for you. Get yourself out of the one you're in if you're having a rough time, and figure it out. Do you know Alex Hormozy? Now, this is only 50% accurate in my opinion. But he said that sadness is the cost of ignorance. And it kind of runs true in a way when you're talking about problem solving. Because if you are sad, and there is not always an answer, by the way, just so that I've said it to cover my back, I'm anticipating backlash on this next thing, because we can't control a family member dying, a serious illness, or a freak accident. But if you are sad in your life, there is knowledge out there that you can learn to make yourself happier, or change something enough that you will find happiness off the back of what you learn. So when he says sadness is the cost of ignorance, it's like you are just being ignorant to all the other options that are out there. You're not looking hard enough.
Yep.
And it's so true. It's like, when you get sad, everything is like, oh, dude, sometimes when you're sad, you're like, my life's over. I'm poor, I'm this, I'm this. And it's like, no, I still earn a fair amount of money. I can still do this. I'm physically fit. I'm like, all the good things you can reel off. So point being is just like, when he says sadness is the cost of ignorance, it's like, if you are currently sad, find the thing that it is you need in your life, and then find out how to get it. Yeah.
Let's go to kind of what I'm studying at the moment.
Yeah.
This is what I'm studying at the moment.
Yeah.
And there is always, like, your sadness, have your moment. Always have your moment. Sit in your sadness, because you've got to feel your feelings. You don't want to dismiss those feelings. But there has to come an end to it. And like you said, it's finding the thing to get you out. So, like, I've made the past 2 weeks, oh my God, I've had so many sad moments. But that's usually because it's my own mind running around in circles, trying to fucking really self-deprecate, just fucking come down on myself. So that's where finding those little things to help you get yourself out of those
Yeah.
will help you a lot.
Fuck yeah. And all about perspective. Like, another one is the whole grief is the cost of love. Grieving is the cost of loving.
Yeah.
But I find beauty in all of these kind of little sayings, because to me, you accept that grieving will come at some point, but you can live in the happiness and the love.
It's like you can't have darkness without light. You can't have happiness without sadness.
Yeah.
Like it's all polarity. You
Yes.
need those things. You need to experience grief to experience love. You need to experience sadness to experience happiness.
Yeah.
You need to have these things.
Yeah.
But it's getting yourself caught in those moments and living to that narrative that you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
Because people do, like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot, things happen to people which are unimaginable. They shouldn't happen. You wouldn't wish that upon your worst enemy. Like, it does happen to people, and it can be very hard to get yourself out of those moments. It can be, but it's a choice. It is all a choice whether you're going to sit there and get stuck in that moment and let that be your life and that be your life story, or do you go, cool, you know what? I've had my moment. I've grieved. I've been sad. I felt depressed. I've had a time to myself where I've done nothing but wallow. But do I want to spend the rest of my life like this? If the answer is no, then you need to start finding those other avenues. And usually it will start with inside yourself. It will start with probably addressing those things and reshaping those events that have caused the sadness, the grieving and all that sort of stuff. And then being able to work yourself through those.
Yeah.
In short. Yeah.
All right, something happens. I'm sad about this thing that's just happened. That's sadness time number one. If you deal with this now correctly, allow yourself to feel it in this moment, in theory, the sadness should never remain the same.
No, it should get easier to deal with.
You should deal with it, exactly. If you are dealing with it, it should get easier. And like the difference between like feeling your feelings and sitting in them is you're proactively choosing to let that land. I'm allowed to be sad. That's absolutely fine. Fuck it. I'll take a couple of days. I just did it. Then once you have that first time it's gone, find the positive, find the happiness around it. Like if I've loved someone, like I'll spend the next bit of, like it's going to come up again, but it should never be as painful, because in those moments I can now start to rationalize and go, fuck, I love that person. They were hilarious. Then there's happiness within the sadness then. And the grieving changes and you accept what's happened. And then you're like, fuck, I'm now missing in something in my life. I'm going to go learn whatever it is to find my next happiness, if that was what that is, and settle in yourself. No?
Yeah. But it's also remembering everything is energy. So with everything being energy, like if you're going to continue to sit in that sadness and relive that sadness to the extent that you lived it before, is you're going to do yourself more harm in the future than good, because you're going to sit in that negative energy. And unfortunately, that negative energy on the body is going to cause stress for the body. And when that stress becomes chronic stress over acute stress is where illness comes in, disease comes in, like all these things that happened that can really fuck you up later in life will happen because you haven't been able to let go and move past the thing, and you're putting your body in that constant state of stress, sadness, and everything else like that. So it's, again, identifying that these things are happening. And this is where self-awareness comes in, is becoming self-aware within yourself, instead of just kind of running on autopilot and letting these feelings happen and just becoming that sad, depressed, emotional person all the fucking time. Just acknowledge it and start to move through it. Again, we can say this to you, but it comes down to you to be ready to do it, and acknowledge that something needs to be done about it. Because that's basically it. Sorry, side tangent.
No, it's not even. It's still pretty much on the nail on the head there. And one other thing that will always help me is knowing that my life is made up of more than one thing. So if one of the things is going wrong, it's one thing that's going wrong, and I will still smile in the face of Ash, my work, my clients, my other, like I will find, like, don't put a guise over everything that everything's going wrong. It's fucking not. That's then a choice, and that's then you are just being a dickhead to yourself, because actually I'm sad because of this happened. Okay, at least I got this going on for me. I'm not going to dismiss this. I'm not going to run from it. I'm not going to go and do that thing where I used to run into the gym and beat myself up and be like, oh, I'm the worst person ever. Haha. I'm just going to go, oh, fuck me, I feel fucking shit.
Yep. Yep.
Well, I'm going to go and do the things that make me feel good, and I'm going to focus on the whole life I've built as opposed to this one thing that just went wrong.
Yeah. And just address the thing that went wrong so it doesn't stay around. Anyway.
I've got a couple jokes for you.
Yay.
Yeah.
I love this moment. Go on.
Let's lighten the mood just a touch on that one.
Well, the funny thing, I was just started about happy memories, went into that.
And then tangented. It's all a positive message. The way I would like to round up that little section there is that I always see a problem as a learning opportunity.
100%.
Yeah.
There's growth in everything when you choose to see it and if you choose to see it.
Well, just choose to see it.
But
if you don't,
it's on you. You can't, no one's responsible for making you happy.
Yeah.
You're responsible for making you happy. No one's responsible for making you sad. It's you responsible for making you sad because of how you've perceived the situation and continued on with that. At the end of the day, you're in control of your emotions and no one else is.
Yes.
Anyway, external factors will make you sad. That will happen.
I wasn't disagreeing with you.
Oh yeah. Oh. I was having that moment.
I was like, the only thing I would have added is emotions happen.
Yeah.
You are in control of your reactions to them.
Yeah. There you go.
How you handle them.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all I would say.
Banging. Okay.
Wouldn't it have been amazing if Wouldn't it have been amazing if John Lennon invented the device that you put in the door to see through to the other side? I mean, imagine all the peepholes.
So where the fuck's this going? Well done. My wife says I'm too obsessed with astrology. I said, what planet are you on?
What's the difference between a bad golfer and a bad skydiver?
What?
One goes, whack, fuck. The other goes, fuck, whack.
You didn't even need to finish that. As soon as you said whack, fuck, I was like, oh no. Do you know the name of the Roman emperor who always remained 19? His name was Constantine.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, solid. What's the difference between a farmer and Hitler's girlfriend?
Oh.
One bales her hay, and the other hails her bay.
Brilliant. My wife said that I'm too much a detective. I think we need to split up. I said, that's a great idea. We can cover more ground that way.
Yes. Avoidance.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Neil Armstrong and Michael Jackson?
What?
Neil Armstrong walked on the moon, and Michael Jackson had sex with kids.
That was not the way I thought that was. That was great. Okay. I too was once a male trapped in a female's body. And then my mother gave birth.
Oh man, I got fired on the first day of my new job.
Go on.
I kept asking it if they would prefer smoking or non-smoking. Apparently the correct phrase is cremation or burial.
Fuck. Oh, that's brilliant. In 2004, Lisa Sparks slept with 919 men in just 7.5 hours. She's currently the world record holder for the most sexual partners in one day, narrowly beating your mum.
Oh, yeah.
Huh? Ma?
Who's my dad?
Which one?
Which one?
Yeah. Go on.
These were my grandfather's last words before he kicked the bucket. How far do you think I can kick this bucket?
I thought that's what he was going to say, but it still got me by surprise. That was brilliant. What does a robot do after sex? He nuts, then he bolts.
That's strong. What did the leper say to the prostitute?
What?
Kicked it.
That's brilliant. I got two.
Okay, give me.
This one's it's my turn for a cancellation.
Oh,
Yep.
thank God. Because that was...
What do you call an Indian dating site? Connect the dots.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Okay. Final one. What's the difference between weed and pussy? If you can smell the weed from across the room, you know it's good weed.
Ripe. Femfresh. We should get sponsored by Femfresh at this point.
We've said it.
We've said it.
We've used it a few times.
Yeah.
We've used it more than a few times. Femfresh. Podcast.
You forgot what we're doing?
No.
You usually have this fucking kind of thing in your face?
Not all the time. Shh. Only on Wednesdays.
Both hands. Stroke it, don't choke it.
If you like the podcast and if you like what we're talking about and you want to kind of get more involved, ask questions so we can actually answer some of these on the podcast, then please follow us on Patreon, which is at Got Swoled. And basically all of our socials are at Got Swoled. Anything? There's so much more to that, and I completely just blanked after I said that, so I was hoping you were going to pick that one up.
Oh, no, just put it back down and wait for it to come back to you.
Cool.
This is a growth moment.
Yeah, go on.
If you want to further support this channel as a growth, then please do subscribe to Patreon. It really does help. We appreciate all of your support, and also we appreciate having your opinions to work off of to help grow this idea that has come from what little is in between both of our ears.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Just pure light and some air, really. Yeah, it's quite fun though.
Yeah. On that note,
peace out, A-Town.